What's your full name?
Baruch Katz.
Where are you from?
I live in Huntington Woods, Michigan.
How old were you in 2007?
I was 39 years old.
Had you experienced economic hardships prior to 2007 in working, when you were working?
I don't recall any significant issues before 2007.
How do you discover that our nation was facing a severe economic situation?
I would say that I knew there was a problem when a lot of my patients stopped coming back for their annual checkups or their scheduled visits, and I spent much less time in my office because there weren't as many patients to see at that time.
How were you feeling about it? What were your emotions as you were learning about it?
What were my emotions about it?
How did you feel about it?
Obviously, I felt bad for people who were losing their jobs during this bad economy, but at the same time, I was a little bit nervous about what would happen at my work. Obviously, as a physician, you rely on patients coming in to see you to make a living, and when patients stopped coming, it was very scary.
So what financial hardships did you experience? Did you lose hours at work because patients didn't come to you?
I would say there definitely were some days that were as busy as before, but there were also some days where I think the group of doctors I work with, we had maybe half the number of patients we had seen before 2007.
Do you know anyone that was affected by it? Some people that you work with?
I would say just a lot of the doctors in the area that I talked to were going through similar kind of situations where their salaries significantly decreased because they just weren't seeing the same number of patients they had been seeing.
What did you think of President Barack Obama's and the Congress's reaction to the Great Recession?
As a physician, I will focus in on the Affordable Care Act. I do agree with everybody having insurance, but unfortunately, I think that what turned out happening is it just increased the deductible for people who could afford insurance before, and it created, I think, a little more hardship for those people who were able to pay for insurance and be comfortable in being insured.
What do you believe is our nation's greatest economic concern and why?
Once again, I will stick with the field of medicine since I feel more comfortable dealing with that. I still think that when you look at the amount of money that the United States spends on healthcare, it's a major concern. I'm curious to see what happens with President Trump's desire to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, and I think that's still a very sensitive issue in this country.
What lessons should we learn from the Great Recession?
I think the biggest lesson is you need to be careful when things are good to make sure you save money. I do remember that before the recession, people were just buying things without having second thoughts, and I think when the economy is better, I think it's very important to make sure you have savings in the bank, so if it ever happens again, you can survive without losing jobs, and always having some money to take care of important situations.